about myself because I feel like it's bragging.
You think you're
Well, it is bragging.
I'm not the one to talk too affectionately about my own accomplishments in life. So you're gonna have to be the one to prompt me or prod me.
All right. So let's start at the beginning of JC Band or JC. Is it JC Band or JC?
It's both.
It's both.
Yeah, there is a band and there is JC.
There's JC, which is right here, and then there's JC
quite
Band.
complicated.
So start at the beginning. How did it start?
How did JC start? Basically, it came about because I couldn't find any band members, and I ended up having to learn all the instruments myself because it was easier than trying to find bandmates.
Oh.
And
how'd you learn to play all that? Didn't your mom have some part in your musical training?
yeah, she was an opera singer.
An opera singer.
Yeah, and so she coached me throughout my childhood to be a singer, and singing was the last thing I ever wanted to do, you know. So I went through all the other instruments before finally deciding that she was right.
So that you should sing.
Yeah,
And we're
primarily because I couldn't find a singer, so
right. So
it just ended up being
pick it all up yourself. All right. So then JC Band comes along, but you were in another band.
Yeah, I was in a band called Circus.
Circus.
Yeah, and we just released one record, and that was a heartbreaker because we were sort of the most talented, egotistical band that ever walked the face of the earth, and we imploded, and I jettisoned off to a very pseudo-successful solo career. So.
Well, you're moving now, so JC Band started after Circus?
Yeah, it did. It actually came about as an answer to the whole circus demise, which the circus will always live on. I mean, you can take the boy out of the circus.
Okay, so you're working on your 8th album now?
Yeah.
And you've had 7. That's a lot.
Yeah.
How is that to have that many albums done? Over how many years?
7 years.
7 years. An
Yeah.
album a year?
Album a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're working hard.
Yeah. This record is the hardest working record that I've ever done, but it has more celebrity personnel, whereas before I would tend to record everything myself, you know.
And which do you like better?
I actually like working with people that I look up to.
Like,
so,
who do you look up to?
well, Michael Bland is a great drummer, and I used to love watching him with Prince as a kid, and I used to think that he was one of the greatest drummers that has ever been, and I got a chance to work with Michael on this record, which was a huge accomplishment in terms of just the music side for me, you know.
Do you get nervous when you have someone like that come in, or?
I do, I do, because you never really know if your knowledge is up to par, you know.
No.
And you're always, especially if you're working with somebody that's really well schooled or has been around the block a load of times.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Feel like kind of a kid around them, maybe?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, sometimes.
Yeah, well, I feel like a kid around you. I mean,
Really? I feel like a kid around everybody.
Well, let's go play.
Let's go play outside. You have quite a neat playground out there in your castle here. Tell us a little about your house.
Well, this house sort of happened by accident, although I did look for a house for about 2 years, and I wanted to move to Los Angeles. I always kept an apartment here, although I have a house in London. And the house in London has been visited less and less, you know, over the years. And when I finally made the conscientious decision to actually realistically come and live in Los Angeles, I really put the feelers out and tried to find a house that was conducive to the way I like to live. And so this is what happened.
Does this contribute to your creativity?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Being in here, and you write a lot in here?
Yeah, this whole record was written. In fact, I wrote about 80 songs for this new record.
80?
Yeah.
That's 80?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I wrote throughout, I wrote them in England and Ireland, because my whole family's in Ireland, you know, and between America, England and Ireland, I basically came up with 80 songs. I went on sort of a writing you know, tour, as it were, you know, just to write, and I just focused the entire time writing, and then out of those songs, and the songs I wrote here, I was able to compile somewhat of a selection of songs for this record.
How many are you going to use of 80?
10.
10?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that a hard breakdown to drop 70 songs?
No, I'm not well, it's kind
Right.
of weird, because I've written hundreds and hundreds of songs
Right.
over my life, so it's not a question of dropping them, but as opposed to just sort of like, maybe somebody else can use certain ones.
Oh.
Some of them might be too poppy, or some of them might be too gothy, or some of them might, you know, they don't quite fit in the motif of this new record,
Okay.
which is more sort of like power pop, rock.
Power pop. So you're going sort of a different angle this time?
A little bit more, sort of Americana rock edge.
Okay.
You know, that's why the whole artwork and concept of the record is sort of pop art.
Okay.
Some sort of like trying to incorporate some sort of an artistic notion of what pop and art are in combination with each other.
I don't know what that means. Do you consider yourself to be an artist?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. What do you consider yourself to be?
I consider myself to be a purist.
A purist.
Yeah, to an extent.
A purist in regard to what you do, your music, being true to yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, ever since the first record, it's been a matter of people that get JC get it because they know what I'm doing, and people that don't get it because they don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Sort of like coming into a TV program halfway through and not catching on what's happening until somebody gives you the lowdown. Oh, what's happened before is that this geezer, so you know, then you kind of then you get into it.
Right.
You know, whereas if people just kind of you know, catch it in the middle, they're going to kind of be a little lost at first. You know.
I see.
That's the kind of music I always liked when I was growing up. I loved bands like Queen and Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and stuff, to where you sort of had to, and Beatles. I mean,
Right.
you had to sort of know what was going on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's an eclectic kind of thing, you know. So in a way, I consider myself to be a purist because I haven't lost sight of the things that mattered to me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that still continue to influence me and still hopefully continue to come out and influence others.
Okay, so what kinds of things mattered to you as a kid other than Pink Floyd and Queen, which are wonderful bands?
Nothing.
Incredibly influential.
Nothing.
Nothing, just music?
Music.
Just music.
There weren't any girls. There weren't nothing. I didn't go out to play. I didn't have any friends. The only friends I had were musicians or teachers or some, you know,
How was
macabre individual. You know.
How was JC in high school?
Oh, I was a nightmare.
A nightmare.
Nightmare in school, yeah. I had no time for school because I realised quick into school that I forgot what happened last year in school. So how is everything going to apply to me anyway? You know?
So your head was always sort of off someplace else than music?
My report cards were constantly daydreaming, staring out the window. You know, may have to hold him back.
Oh, wow. So, were you writing music then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. I was
so
staring
you were
at the
always
window
writing
thinking,
music.
how am I going to get this cello line to go with this viola piece
Oh.
if I'm going to have the key phrase held down by the violins? Colin!
And then they're yelling at you.
Yeah.
Wow. And you went to school in London?
Yeah, I went to school in England mainly.
Private school? Or?
Yeah.
How was that?
Dosh, boarding schools.
Oh, boarding school.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that rough?
No, I mean, that's all I was really used to, so it was, you know, it was normal for me, but other kids had a tough time with it, you know, being away from home and all that.
Okay, so you have 8 albums. Are they available? I mean, not
Yeah.
8, I'm sorry, you have 7 and you're working on number 8.
8 is going to be available come up this summer.
Okay,
And of course, they're all available in America now
okay. And where will we get
as
those?
imports,
Imports.
and we're doing a distribution deal